As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. It had an interesting statistic, but one in particular that stood out, and this article's from GamesBeat, that the US gained 13 million gamers during the pandemic. And I thought, I saw that stat, and who here thinks that this is possible? This is just the US, right? Like, we're talking about, what, 5% of the population became a gamer during the pandemic? Like an additional 5%. Does anyone not feel like this 13 million number is high?
That sounds like an influx of Switch users at the beginning of the pandemic.
You think so?
To be completely honest, yeah. Like, that's when Animal Crossing was just picking up hype. Like, the first months of the pandemic was huge for the Switch. And so I genuinely believe like a huge chunk of those are probably Switch players. And then, you know, the rest from everything else.
Yeah. Also, Paul, that's less than 1% too.
Is it?
Because the population, the U.S. population is 330-ish, right?
328.
So it'd be like 3%, right?
That's what I'm looking at. Yep.
Something like that. It's a lot, still a lot, right? And if you're talking about just the age group of potential gamers also, right? That's a big chunk of new people coming into gaming. I wonder who here thinks that this held up globally. Like, do you think China added 3% of their population in additional like people gaming?
In
You're
India,
talking about
right?
big numbers at that point.
Normal. Yeah.
And the other fact that came out of this, which I thought was interesting, this ESA report is very much U.S. focused, obviously, because it's primarily where they operate. But the average video game player in their report was 31, not 25, not 18. Not 16, 31.
That was what I found the most interesting, actually. And I think it really signifies that the group who grew up with gaming is now reaching their mid, like 30s-ish is what I was thinking.
I mean, I don't know. I still don't understand how 100% of people don't play games. I think they're the greatest things. I'm serious. I think they're the greatest things ever. I think people who don't play games just haven't had the right experience to get them into games yet, right? I think not playing games is like, nobody says I don't read books, or like, oh, I don't watch movies. Like, it's crazy to me. And I totally buy that in a pandemic situation, when you are stuck in, like, you're telling me there's not some, you know, like 42-year-old who's stuck at home with his or her screaming kids, who looks at their mobile phone at night and is like, okay, I'll check out what this Clash Royale thing is, you know, like, I totally buy that we could have it. I don't think this was hardcore users. I don't think these were people like, this wasn't cyberpunk driven, you know, like, but I think that's how it starts. I think it's a migration up market, and I totally buy that this happened.
We got to try and guess what the definition of gamer is for this study, and unfortunately it's not YouGov, so we can't take out, you know, we don't know everything about it.
Although I know we covered it even on a past live stream, and I think it was on their website at one point, that YouGov had done quite a bit of analysis and data gathering around gaming habits during the pandemic. And so obviously plug here for a great supporter of our live stream, which is YouGov. But go check out yougov.com/gaming-esports because they have a ton. I know they collected a ton of data around gaming habits during the pandemic, way more than this ESA report had in terms of granularity of the data, in terms of how deep it goes. And so, like, if anyone's looking to do research or is looking for actionable data around sort of the effect of the pandemic on gaming, reach out to the folks at YouGov. Ben Parrow, for example, if you go find them on LinkedIn, or Nicole Pike or some of the people we've had from YouGov on the podcast, they have incredibly detailed data around the pandemic's effect on gaming and on all parts of gaming, right? So mobile, PC, console, etc. So go check them out. yougov.com/gaming-esports. They're tremendous supporters of the live stream and of Business of Esports in general. And I know if you guys are looking for stuff like that, they have a lot of it. John says, with all the video cards coming on the market from China, more gamers coming. I mean, this is a win-win, John. If there's more video cards coming, I think everyone's going to be happy, including not just gamers. People can't buy cars these days because of the video card shortage. Ramsey says every current gamer's significant other. There could be some truth in that, Ramsey.
No, that was a legitimate point. Like, my wife picked up the Switch over the pandemic. I wasn't even thinking about that, but she started playing Animal Crossing. To Jimmy's point, she was like, "Oh,
I just wanted to add to since William and I are kind of complimenting each other right now. I just wanted to add, episode 116 of the podcast, which I just had to look up. We had the GM, or I should say, you guys had the GM of gaming for Logitech, as well as their director of strategy. And one of the points they made in that episode, which I remember back when I was the biggest fanboy of the show, which I still am, but one of the points they made was, when they talk about Logitech's innovation and they go to their own kids, their own children for input, and I think, I can't remember which guest it was, but he said, I went to my daughter and I said, are you a gamer? She goes, yeah, I'm a television watcher, I'm an eater, like up to William's point, I'm a reader. Like, it's not. So again, the definition of gamer is kind of weird for the younger generation. And I'm only making this point to say it doesn't surprise me that conversion happened at the older end of the spectrum, because William's wife, my fiance, both picked up Switches during the pandemic and started playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I'll say one thing that, I don't know, this is really anecdotal, but it's one of those things that always stays with you in your life, and I'll share it. I know it's kind of the same effect for people it had with me, but I remember in Harvard Business School, there's one point where they're doing some class about marketing or user adoption, and they showed a TV piece from I forget even when, it wasn't even that long ago. It was like the 1980s or something, and they have some guy talking on it. And the subtitle for that guy, the reason why he's qualified to be on the news sharing his thoughts is he says, owns a computer, right? And the whole point of this, to teach you is guys, things start small. Now today, owning everyone owns it. Are you kidding me? So that's always stayed with me, is wow, it does start with one person, and it is novel when the first user does it. And I don't know, same for gaming, guys. I really believe that.
But then don't we maybe lose the cool factor of it all? Doesn't it come full circle, right? Being a gamer was not cool. Now the label goes away because everyone's a gamer, right? And doesn't the label going away sort of make it not cool anymore, right? It's so cool that it's not cool anymore.
Now it's like rock and roll. Everyone played rock and roll, but not everybody was Aerosmith, right? Not everybody was Jimi Hendrix. And now you've got these huge mega teams doing crazy things in rock and roll that everyone wants to be like, but they just don't know how to get there now. They're all trying.
What will happen, Paul, is you'll end up like those insufferable film snobs who are oh, Francois Truffaut is the only I only watch black and white. That will be you. You'll be like, what are these kids? I only play.
Thresh was the last great pro gamer. We reached the pinnacle there.
Paul already is that for film too, by the way.
They don't even, let me tell you, in my day, I had to put the mouse over the head to get a kill.
Yeah. Yes, the game wasn't aiming for me. Cough, cough, controller players. John says it's not a question for everyone of if you are a gamer. It's a question of what games do you play. Yes, John, you're exactly right. It's what games. This is also why I love doing, what are we playing now on the live stream, because I think it's fascinating. In some ways, this becomes almost a defining characteristic of people, right? Is what games they're playing. It's what brands do you wear, or what, TV shows do you watch? It's not defines a person, but it's another dimension of a person.
Right. What culture are you invested in, basically? Yeah. If you're a Valorant player, you're in that ecosystem. If you're an Overwatch player, you're in that ecosystem, 100%.
Exactly.